welcome everybody to the Adobe Spark workshop. My name is Brian Puente. I'm the support specialist for Adobe Creative Cloud at the University of Arizona, as stated by this lovely graphic to my left. So basically, my job at the university is to support Adobe Creative Cloud, nothing else. I love it, super fun. But today we're going to be talking about Adobe Spark. I already talked to the audience a little bit before we get started, and pretty new to Spark, fair to say? Cool. Well, then you're in the right place. And we're just going to go ahead and jump in and get started to talk about what Spark is, how the roadmap's going to kind of look like this. What Spark is, how you can get access to it across different devices, and then we'll kind of break down a few of the different parts of Spark. You'll find there are a lot of similarities. So when you know one, you have an idea of what to do in the other. Super easy to kind of work with. And hopefully you guys feel the same way I do about it, and you make lots of things in Spark, and I have some cool examples to show along the way as well. Cool. Awesome. So feel good about the roadmap? Okay, if we get started? Feel free to ask questions as we go. I will probably repeat them so that we make sure that we get good audio for them. Sound good? Cool. Awesome. Let's jump in then. Sweet. So let's talk about what Spark is. You guys have heard of Spark before? So basically, I love this line right here. It actually does a really good job of explaining it. Allows you to quickly create impactful graphics, web pages, and video stories in minutes. That's kind of the idea. At the University of Arizona, you have access to the entire suite of Adobe Creative Cloud, including Photoshop, Illustrator, After Effects, and Spark. Spark is a free application that you can use outside of the university just by logging in with any email you want. But the benefits of having a paid account, or in our case, like one that's paid by the university, is that you have access to some premium features like branding. So you can import a font set, you can add a logo and stuff like that, and basically it can build out templates for you to use whenever you want to post anything. So it's pretty cool. All right, awesome. So let's talk about the three pieces of Spark. You have graphics using Spark Post, and basically allows you to add text, graphics, graphic elements, and then move them around and then resize them as needed for different projects. And it tries to resize the content for you, so you build it once, and then you resize basically the format of it, and then it shifts, and we'll walk through that. Cool. Making sense? Mm-hmm. Sweet. And then we have Spark Pages. This basically allows you to create microsites. A lot of people use Spark Page, and I have some cool examples, both that I've made and that students have made for projects and things like that, so you may be able to kind of see different ways that you can kind of use those, and we'll dive into that. And then lastly, we have Spark Video that's going to allow us to create video stories. The way that I like to explain Spark Video is really it's slide-based video editing. So if you've ever worked with a PowerPoint before, you add a slide, the content on that slide, whatever it is, whether it be video, audio, voiceover, text, images, whatever it is, then you move on to the next slide. So you don't have to worry about trimming timelines and things like that. It's literally just a slide at a time. You build video out. And I'll show you an example of that. Cool. So far, so good? Awesome. All right, so Spark's kind of built to create really fast. So build it in minutes, share buttons built right into the application. Share buttons exist for a reason. The stuff that we build should be shared out and shared with other people. And then there's an inspiration gallery as you start to work that will help you find ways to get started. So and we'll talk about that in a minute, but what's your question? It's a great question. So, if I may, so the question, if I understand it right, was how does the share function work, essentially? So you can export it out just as an image to your desktop that you can share however the heck you want. There's there are email buttons. If you're using it on a mobile device, you have all of those share functions: Instagram, Twitter, even Google Classroom. There's even embed codes if you want to embed it into a source like D2L. So we'll kind of walk through all that for sure. Great question. Awesome. All right, so the idea is that you can use Spark pretty much anywhere, and we're going to be working on the desktop version, which is all available through the website spark.adobe.com. If you're doing it on your computer, it's all web-based. Chrome is the preferred browser for Spark. There are a couple functions that are exclusive to it, so I would recommend that as your browser. But if you're using a mobile device, these are the mobile devices it's currently available on. So if you have an iPhone, you have Spark Post, Spark Page, and Spark Video as 3 separate apps available across the suite. So if you have an iPhone, you're good to go on all 3. If you have an Android device, Spark Post is available on Google Play. These other 2 are in a closed beta right now, and hopefully are going to be released really soon, publicly. But the idea is to get them kind of all rolled out. And then if you're on Chromebook, because there are students and faculty who use Chromebook, you'll just go to spark.adobe.com. So this part of Adobe Creative Cloud is available on a Chromebook through the web page, but the other applications are Windows or Mac. So the desktop applications. Cool. Making sense? Mm-hmm. Sweet. Any questions about this before we start cutting it up and building stuff? Sweet. So walk you through the login process here real quick. Go to spark.adobe.com. There's this little profile icon. You'll click on it. It'll say log in, and then you'll log in using the enterprise ID system that we use here at the university. And I'm happy to walk you through that after the workshop if you want. But once you're logged in, you should look something like this. So if you have existing projects, they're going to show up in this pane down here. You can kind of scroll through and you'll see all of your projects together when you're on the desktop version. If you wanted to make a post on your mobile device, Spark Post. Spark Video for video, Spark Page for page. So when we kind of get here, we'll see all of our existing projects. There are some neat filter options. I have a lot of projects here just because I use it pretty regularly for examples and other things. So if we scroll to the top up here, there's this Show All button. This will allow you to sift through, this will allow you to sort by the different projects you have. So if you're looking for your posts, you click on Post. Looking for your pages, you click on Page, and vice versa. And then you can also sort A to Z, or oldest first, newest first. So if you have a project, like I get this a lot, I need this thing that you did a year ago, you sort by oldest first. It can be faster to get that way. So you have those options there. But when you first launch Spark, you'll be greeted with something that looks a bit more like this. So from here, these three buttons at the top, they may be at the bottom, depending on whether if you haven't created anything, these should be at the bottom of the list. But you can create a graphic, web page, or video. And these are basically ways to start from scratch. And we'll get to these in a minute. But the way that I like to work, because one of the things that I get is like, yeah, I'd like to make a graphic, but I'm not inclined to do so. It's not something I've never done before. Like, how do I accomplish that? If you scroll down, there's all of these guys that you can use basically as presets. Click the one you want. You can literally take everything here, change the text, and it's yours to work. So if you like exactly how something looks and you just want to change the text, you can do that. Every image that you're going to see in these pre-built templates is Creative Commons licensed. So they're free to use however you want. And once we get into here, there are a whole lot of ways to get really, really engaging content that doesn't require any attribution, because it's already a part of how Spark works. And we'll dig into that. So if I scroll through here, I'm going to go ahead and pick one of these guys to get started. And we're going to start by creating a graphic or a Spark post. So if I scroll through here, let's say we have that final survival week coming up, right? We're getting close. So let's say that we wanted to advertise. I don't even know if they did this last year. I don't know if they're doing it this year. Like, they had a free pancake thing. So let's advertise some free pancakes at Cactus Grill. I think it's Cactus Grill, right? Cool. So let's go ahead and build that out. So I'm going to find something that makes sense for that. Scroll through here, promote. Let's see here. Let's go with this one. Cool. So it doesn't look like it'll fit exactly what we want, but nice big letters. We can kind of manipulate this all out, and we're going to get started. So we're going to, if I want to manipulate the text, all I have to do, if I click on it once, I'll get this bounding box that allows me to move it. If I double click on it, it's text editor. So free pancakes, exclamation point. Sure. Nice. So then I move that into place. Cool. And we'll deal with colors and things like that in a minute, but we'll come down here to our next set of fonts there. What is it? Let's give it a time frame. 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. at Cactus Grill. Boom. And then if I wanted to resize this, I can simply grab a corner, scale it up. I like that a little bit more. Move it into place. I see that these blue guides show up. That's going to help me align my content here. Okay. So pretty happy with it. Looks great, but a pineapple, a pancake isn't. So let's go ahead and deal with that. So if I click on my background image here, I can delete it altogether, or there's this replace button. So when you use this kind of pre-built template thing, click on the image and hit replace. And that's going to kind of be a common theme throughout Spark. When you select a piece of information, you'll see the properties for it and the options across the top and on the right-hand side. One of those two places. Okay. So text, I'll see my text options over here, along with options to edit, duplicate, and delete. On my photo here, I'll see my scale, rotate, and these other options that we'll get to in a minute, but I'll also find replace. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit replace here. I can upload a photo if I have a glorious picture of a pancake that I want. You can also link to anything that you have saved on Creative Cloud, because Creative Cloud does offer you 100 gigs of storage just to store things. So if you have assets that you like to use all the time, a great way to do it. You can sync your content from Lightroom, or even connect to Dropbox, Google Photos, or Google Drive. So if all your photos are there, you can totally connect those. And it'll walk you through just by clicking. Okay, but I'm gonna hit Find Free Photos here. So Find Free Photos, all of these will be our Creative Commons licensed, and on Spark Pages, you'll have them attributed at the bottom. So nothing you have to do to say, I got this from somewhere, and it's completely free to use for education, commercial, whatever you want. The foundries that they use are Pixabay and Unsplash. So well-known resources for finding photos. Those are great websites to have in your back pocket when you're building content. You guys may have known that already, but if you didn't, now you do. All right, so now we're gonna go and type in pancakes. Cool. I'm gonna find a stack of pancakes that makes sense for what I'm doing here. This is honestly the hardest part, is just picking what you want. Stop me when you find something.
I like the one up, was brighter up above.
Okay.
Kind of that one.
This one?
Yeah, I don't
So,
know, because it's kind of big, like
yeah,
pineapple.
I agree. No,
Let's see if it looks good.
yeah, let's figure it out. Sweet. So we scale, rotate. Let's try placing it. I like that idea though. Let's go with something that's a little smaller maybe. I'm gonna go with this one. Free pancakes. Cool. And then if it's a portrait, I can kind of move it up and down like that, right? If it's a landscape, I can move it right to left a little bit, and I also have the scaling option, so if I really wanted to get in on that blueberry right there, and actually that might be okay. Move it off to the side a little bit, so maybe we get a little bit more of a profile of a pancake. So you kind of scale it and then move it around. We could also rotate, which I don't think is gonna serve us very well, but you could, it's up to you. Awesome, so there we go. Free pancakes, looks okay. Let's go ahead and adjust this font a little bit though. So if I click on this font over here, I will see, if I've ever done any word processing before, we may see things that we're used to here. So different font sets, it's loading my fonts right now, we'll give that a minute. But we can also adjust the size, letter spacing, and a bunch of other content here. So let's see if this populated yet. It's okay. We're in no rush. We're not being filmed or anything. All right, sweet. So if we come down here, I have all these different fonts that I have access to that are going to be available across all of Adobe Spark. These are all loaded into the website that you have here. So I'm going to go ahead and pick something that's maybe a little bit more. Let's see here. Scroll through, find something that's maybe a little bit closer to brand for us, or we could go uppercut angle, something fun. Let's go ahead and grab, you see there's a lot of different fonts, so you can get a lot of different kind of looks. So if I wanted this to kind of be kind of 8-bit looking, I could do that, which might be fun, but not what I'm going for. Let's go with, I think I found Proxima Nova. I like that one. There we go. Cool. And then we have all of our different options here, bold, italic, underline, and different fonts are going to have different options there. This works okay for me. We'll adjust the color because it's not quite standing out how I want it to yet. But I have type. I'm going to go down to color and adjust my color here. So I can pick different ones. Bless you. Foreground, background color right there. Just hit that shuffle button to shuffle them from back to forward. These are all based off the brand that I set up earlier, but I also have all of these color options as well. And I can also go through and just click on the one that I want. So if I wanted blue there, that kind of stands out. That works for me. Bless you. And then I can come down here to this guy. Is it making sense so far? Yeah. So if we come down to this guy, we have the same stuff. I want to talk about shapes real quick though. So shapes are kind of like the bounding boxes that can exist around here. So if I click on different shapes, they'll do different things. It's just a matter of kind of clicking through and finding one that makes sense for what you're doing. So that one probably not. It's kind of stepping on stuff, but that one may work. And I can move that up a little bit, maybe bump that up. So you see, just kind of like editing any document, you're going to kind of want to adjust as you go to make sure that it kind of sits exactly how you want it. So all of this is great, and we have some text effects like shadows and things like that. But let's say that I don't know what I want, but I know that I don't want what I see. So if I select text and I come down to style, there's a wheel. We spin the wheel. And then when we find something that we like, we stop. I like what we had before, to be honest. So let's go. We can keep going. But you can see there's a lot of different options here. Let's roll back twice and see if it gets me back to where I am, where I was. There we go. Cool. But this is a great option if you don't quite know what you want to do. Super easy to do. Make it sense so far? Yeah. And all of these options are available on your mobile devices as well. So you're going to have the same experience there. All right. Awesome. So we've talked about those things. You can add multiple pieces of content here. The last thing I want to add, though, because this looks great, but I want a little icon on top. One of the kind of cool things about Spark is that you have access to a really, really dense icon foundry as well. So, and this is a great place to talk about the add button. Plus buttons all over the place. Plus button lets you add content. So come over here, we have text, photo, and then icon. So if we go to icon here, basically it searches a bunch of vector icons for us. We're going to search for pancakes, or pancake. And again, we have more life choices to make. So I'm going to scroll down here. I think this one's okay. So let's try that. Cool. So that's going to place that right in there. I can scale it down, move it in the center here, and then come to my color. And it has some suggested colors here based off what I have already. So it's going to try and help you maintain symmetry or add contrast there. So if I wanted that, so we have kind of a, cool. So there's our final graphic there in this square format. When I'm ready to share, there's a big share button on the top. If I hit share, I'll get these options. I can push it right to Facebook, Twitter, Google Classroom if we use that. I don't think that we do as a university, but if you did, it's there. You could email it straight away or just grab a link. Super easy. My preferred method though, because typically like I make it and then I don't know where I'm going to deliver it necessarily, or maybe I want it on my phone, whatever I want. I like this download button because then it's just an image that I can share anywhere. Kind of cool thing about the download button is that we can choose whether or not it's an image that we want to share digitally, or if we want to print it, we can save it as a PDF. That's going to automatically adjust to the DPI from 72 to 300 so that it prints well, if that makes sense. Cool.
You could turn it into like a flyer.
Yeah, you could totally build a flyer inside of here. Yeah. So that being said, feel good about it?
Yeah.
Sweet. So we made this cool thing, and now I want it to exist in a different aspect ratio. How do we accomplish that?
Can I ask a question?
Please ask a question.
So when you were going to do the logo thing, I saw that there was, or the, oh my gosh, whatever, the icon. I also saw this logo button. Is there an A for UA automatically in there? Or?
There's not, but you can give it one.
Okay.
So anything that has transparency, and like you can go to marketing or contact your marketing person, get your like block A with your department or what have you, and have that on there. So all I got to do is bring it in, drag it over here, and then scale it up.
Super cool.
Yeah, so you can bring in anything. So when you bring in images, anything that has transparency like this, actually that might make sense right there or wherever, is going to be free floating and let you move around. Anything that's not is going to serve as a background image. So keep that in mind too. So you want transparency with your logos or with any content. When you upload your own photos, if you, let's say that you had like a specific logo for a specific event that you wanted to use, as long as that logo has transparency, you can bring it in as an image and it's going to kind of free float like this A does, and we can kind of move it around freely. If not, it's going to serve as a background image.
Gotcha.
Cool. Great question. Awesome.
Sorry, and how do you, is there a way to make sure it has transparency?
So is there a way to make sure that your content has transparency? It has to be exported out that way. So JPEGs aren't going to have transparency. Stuff like PNGs will, and then SVGs, EPSs. There are lots of different formats that offer transparency. But basically, if it's a standard rule of thumb, like if it's a JPEG, it's not going to have transparency. If it's a PNG, it probably, and it's just the logo, it probably is transparent. Yeah. But that's easy enough to kind of accomplish, and honestly, with stuff like Photoshop, it's not too bad, not too hard to do. So so there are other workshops for that, and all sorts of other stuff. Cool. Great questions. Making sense though? Awesome. So now let's go ahead and talk about, we have this kind of square that I like, but if I wanted this to be 8.5 by 11, right? I want to print it off and start stapling it places. If I go down to resize over here, once I have nothing selected, you'll see that this menu is context sensitive, right? So what I want to do is I want to make sure that I have nothing selected. Then I go to resize. Then it's set up for Instagram, but if I need it to be an Instagram landscape or Facebook, Twitter, if I keep scrolling down though, YouTube thumbnail, you want to build your thumbnails in here for your YouTube videos. Fantastic. Snapchat, Instagram stories, but here's our print options, 8.5 by 11. It's basically going to try and dynamically resize it for us. It's not a perfect science. There may be some stuff that you have to manipulate, but you can see it does a pretty good job of trying to make it fit the content you have. And then we can simply go through and adjust that kind of as we need to. And then if I go back to this square here, kind of stays where I left it, but you'll see it kind of does an okay job, and then we may have to make some adjustments here. So this is actually a nice place to talk about the order of our content. So you'll see that this pre-pancakes is sitting behind this guy right here. So we're working in layers, kind of like Photoshop. So whenever you click any of this content, if you scroll down, you're going to find this order section. I can slide that order to the left to push things in front or behind things. And it's going to show up in the order that you brought it in. So if I wanted this pancakes up front, go to order, shuffle it forward, and move it up. So you can adjust that order after you bring the content in, but it's going to show up in the order that you brought it in initially. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so if you're adjusting it on a different, you're reformatting it for a different size, does that affect the original one? Or,
yeah, that's a great question. So if I change the size of the, if I resize the content here, does it affect the original composition? Absolutely. Yeah, we are affecting a single project right now. If I like this Instagram size, let me go ahead and fix this real quick. Put that right about there, boom, boom. Real easy, simple adjustments. If I love this and I never want to touch it, but I want to use it as a basis for something else, what I'll do is once I have it set up, I'll click on the top left-hand side to go back to Spark Post, kind of the main page there. Then it will populate here. On this menu, there's these ellipses right here. Click on that, duplicate. So you can save it, and then you can save it as, probably label it something, so free pancakes, print, or whatever it is. So it's easy to identify. Just like any file naming convention, my post doesn't do a whole lot to help you identify what it is other than looking at the picture, so nomenclature can be important, although I didn't use it here. Then I can come in and manipulate this guy, and it won't affect the previous guy. We simply duplicated the project. One other question I get a whole lot is like, what's the ceiling for this? How many of these things can I have? I haven't found a limit, and I use this literally daily. So I haven't found it yet. I don't think there is one. But chances are I'll be the first to know. Cool, awesome. Making sense though? Cool, that's essentially Spark Post. One other thing I wanna show you, now that we have that kind of the basics down, if you wanted multiple pictures, multiple stuff, there's this layout function. And here, we can pick all sorts of different looks. So if I wanted there to be like a little square in the center, if I wanted multiple images, so I have this grid section, all sorts of different grid options. And each one of these can be a picture. We just click on it and then hit that replace button to add the image. These are sizable. I kind of like this. Let's see. Let's see if we can kind of adjust it as we go. Let's see. That's kind of fun. Grab that one. But you'll see, like, I'm just grabbing handles. It's like if you've used PowerPoint before, this should feel relatively familiar. It's not too much. Not too much more complicated. And I kind of like that. Kind of weird. Makes you look at it. So you can kind of adjust those as well. And then if you scroll through, there's all sorts of different layouts and things like that. All sorts of different tiled looks. If you had a bunch of photos, this is great for if you went to an event, you took 9 pictures of something you wanted people to share. You grab one of these and then just add all those photos in and work them out. Cool. So far, so good?
That's awesome.
Awesome. Any questions about Spark Post before we move on? Cool. All right. So next up, the thing that I find gets the most mileage for a lot of people is Spark Page. And its kind of ability to help you tell a story digitally. I will share with you a story that I just finished. We had this thing called the Adobe Creative Jam, which was a big design competition. we put together a quick little Spark post for it. We got the photos in, I wrote all the stuff that I wanted in a Word document, and I just started kind of assembling it, and total assembly time was 20 minutes. So if you have all your elements, it's not too hard to kind of pick it up, and I started from nil. But I'll show you kind of a finished product, then I'll show you a couple of other ones that are maybe in different ideas other than just like an event overview, and then we'll break down how we did it. Sound good? Cool. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and open up this guy right here. And by the way, like since this is all lives on the internet, as long as we have an internet connection, it is saving as we're going. Okay. So no real like saving to worry about or anything like that. Cool. So this is the Creative Jam recap. I'll just show it to you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the present button here. Take a look through it. So Creative Jam live recap. Creative Jam was this experience. We had over 60 students from 30 disciplines. I like that a lot. We had kind of a nice, and it wasn't just design students. We had design, engineering, English. I think we had even like a math major in there. It was kind of wild, super fun. But anyway, we can kind of talk about what it is. We have these cool little transitions that get us between one spot and another. We can kind of deliver our information, and then pictures. So these are all pictures from the design competition. This is kind of a little gallery here. Great for your viewers because they can kind of scroll through it. If they wanted to kind of take a look more closely at a picture, they simply click on it. Once the internet plays with us, it loads up, then they can dive deeper. And it works kind of like a standard gallery, which is really cool. Little captions you can add at the bottom. These guys were competing like for $200. The winner got $250 in Amazon gift cards. So, and then third place was $150. So here's our winners right here. And then we also have links out to the projects they created. So we can take hyperlinks and just embed them as buttons. So we can click on that and then it will load their project for us in a new folder. It was an Adobe XD project. So basically that's like app and that's app prototyping and website prototyping. So anything that's a screen. So you can kind of click through and kind of see what these projects looked and felt like. And then we have all of our different winners here and then more galleries. But really easy way to kind of present that data. And then there's a picture of all of us being silly on the day. But pretty cool. So that's the way that
20 minutes?
This took 20 minutes.
Wow.
I mean, you had to write the content, so like you typed it all out, but once I had it all, like I had the assets, I knew what I wanted, that type of stuff. You could totally build the entire thing here. And truth be told, like if I went start to finish, like from when I started it to when I finished it, it was probably 1 hour and 10. Wow. So I knew what I wanted to write. I was there. So like anticipate that, but super easy to do. And then share button basically lets you share a link to a website. The share button here is kind of interesting. We have this URL here, and the URL is static. So have any of you guys ever published to a website before? It's okay if you haven't. So the way that it works typically, so Spark's going to save as we go, but nothing happens until we're published. So once you have a website finished, you go to the share button, and then there'll be an option that says publish and share link. If you make a change to this website, you can make a change to this website all day. Like if you were maybe revising it for another course or another event that you were doing, you wanted to kind of brush it up, you can continue to make changes to it, but if you want people to see those changes, you have to update your link. So I'll make a quick change here and show you what that looks like. So before we do that, this share option right here, we have Facebook, Twitter. This embed though, gives you an embed code that you can literally take and put into anywhere that takes embed code. So you can embed this into a D2L shell if you wanted to, as like this is a resources pane or what have you. So however you want to work it. And that's been used to pretty good effect. Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this guy right here. This is my URL. I'm going to paste it over here. Let that load. And then this is our finished web page here. But if I wanted to make a change to this, if I go back to my Spark page here, and then a lot of the stuff that is in Spark as far as how you make changes, there's plus buttons to add content, which we kind of talked about already. And then there's, and we'll kind of dig into those a little bit deeper, but what I want to do is quickly make a change here. We have these themes, and I have these branded themes based off of the font that I brought in. And you can upload a font. So like I do a lot of stuff that's front facing at the university. So I have Milo loaded on here as my uploaded font. If I want to change this to light, you'll see that it's light and it's been changed here. So now all this stuff is white, right? But on this page right here, if I reload it, it's still this blue. And the reason why it's blue, my change is saved. I could literally, the internet could die right now and everything that I did is still there. But if I want to push this out so people can see it, I need to go back to the share button, publish and share link, and then it's going to say, hey, we noticed you made some changes. Do you want to update and share that link? Update link. Wait a minute. And then once it's done, we should, give it a second here. We work in real time. All right. So once it's done here, do you have a question?
Yeah, so if you had shared the link
Yeah.
and then you made an update,
Yeah.
do you have to reshare that link or will it auto like
Yeah.
forward?
Do I have to reshare a link if I made an update to it? These links are static URLs.
Okay.
So all you got to do is update the link,
Gotcha.
and then it will update that page.
Okay.
That's awesome. For presentations, I've done presentations before where I had to present multiple people, and I spelled their name wrong, and I had literally 60 seconds before we went up on my phone, Spark page, change that name, update. They didn't see a thing. All I had to do was refresh the page. So this is the old one here with that blue. When I refresh the page, we should see a change to white. So all I need to do is make those changes and then update my link when I'm done. Cool. So this is kind of an event type of thing. I would love to show you this little bit right here. So this is what a student did for basically their final project for English 102. So we scroll through here. They have a table of contents that you can kind of go through. These are their different goals and all of their different stuff. And I can share this stuff. I can share these examples with you after the workshop if you'd like. So cover letter, talking about what they wanted to do. And then as we kind of scroll down, you see that we have hyperlinks here that we can click that will link them directly to their Google Docs and things like that. I worked with this particular professor a little bit on the project, and basically what they wanted to do, they wanted their final thoughts to be here on all their different papers and kind of what they learned and things like that. But they wanted lots of graphical elements, and they wanted them to kind of theme the entire project around an idea. So here, you'll see that we have a link to their project, and it's just a link to a Google Doc, really easy to do, copy paste the URL. And then we have an image of kind of what the start of that looks like, and then their recaps right underneath. So what did you learn about it? So how can we kind of visually present this? And kind of the idea behind these projects was, we're still writing full papers and we're still doing that type of stuff, but we want to take our final thoughts and bring it in a way that's palatable, that literally you can share with anybody. The share button, like I say, exists for a reason. I share stuff that I make with my mom all the time. Like, you should be able to make stuff that your mom can, that like your mom or like your best friend would be interested in looking at. And I think Spark does a decent job. I would argue this is a pretty engaging thing, probably more engaging than mine. But she probably spent a little bit more time than I did. But really cool, and you kind of walk through and get an idea of everything that she learned is here for you to view in a way that's pretty easy to get through and read. It's kind of all broken into bits, and it is one kind of continuously scrolling web page, but she can kind of, but Casey could inject her sense of self and like and inject a look that she wanted to share with other people to help her kind of tell her story. So pretty cool little guy. And then here's another one from another student where they kind of talk about the concept for this company that they want to start. This is a different project in a different English 102 class. So, yeah.
So the pictures,
Yeah.
are they, I mean, the pictures look like they're a little bit stylized. I don't know if they're adjusted in Photoshop.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if you do that in Spark.
Sure.
Or if it's done.
Yeah, so if they're stylized, you'll do them somewhere else, like Photoshop or Photoshop Fix or Mix on your mobile device. There are lots of answers for that. A lot of these pictures were probably from that stock photo search, and those are kind of, most of those already look pretty nice unless you're like digging for something that doesn't look nice. So, but these photos, and you can, these are kind of mixed medium. Some of these are stock photos, some of these are photos that they took and then processed afterward. But yeah, this will be kind of where you think a Spark page, like kind of like a web page, like it is a web page actually. So where you go to assemble everything. We're assembling a deliverable here. So all that stuff's kind of prepped and ready to go.
And sorry, another question. So when I wanted Cloud, my IT person,
Mhm.
the students, are they using the free version or they have access?
That's a great question.
Help
So if it's okay, just rephrase that. So how do students get access to Creative Cloud? So students, all they have to do is go to adobe.arizona.edu, which I think I have up here, and then click on Students. And then they scroll down, there's this big Get Access button. It's a self-serve, they answer a couple questions, and they have it within a couple of hours, usually. 24 hours is the buffer that we give just in case something breaks down in the system, but it's pretty instantaneous. Basically, end of day, they should be good to go. Cool, great question. Does that help answer it?
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, so they have access to this full suite, and if you're using Spark in your classroom, or you're using Spark for an assignment, adobe.arizona.edu, have them sign up for it. That gives them everything else, and it's good for an entire academic year.
And I don't know, I'm just thinking, students might be overwhelmed, but it seems like it's fairly intuitive.
Yes.
Have you found that most students can just run with it and
Yes.
they don't need a lot of support?
Yeah, so the question was, do students feel like they need a lot of support for Adobe Spark? No. I have a 4-week-long workshop that deals with students who've never used Adobe Creative Cloud technology before. Their first assignment, day 1, due day 2, is go to Spark and create a post. And I give no direction other than log in and do it. It's pretty intuitive. They can kind of click what they want, add kind of elements there. You can absolutely provide guidance, but really this is a really deep look under the hood. With Spark, I found that if you give them the latitude to say create something, like my assignment is do a creative manifesto, and I define what a manifesto is. I define kind of what that is, and that's just kind of what you hope to accomplish in this 4 weeks and kind of what your overall view of creativity is. They got that idea. They have this software to help support creating a single image with a single line of text that says that idea. So I think the assignment being, the way that I kind of approach getting people into Spark initially, the assignment is focused on give me this thing. I don't care how you do it. And then they run, I find. And it hasn't just been like your typical college student age. Like I've had a gamut of people that I've given this assignment to. And point them in the right direction and show, and look through this page, hit buttons, start doing things. That's about the barrier of entry. And then if they need more help, you've got my email address right here. But I would argue it's not too hard to kind of feel comfortable inside of Spark. And I definitely, as often as I can, want to give faculty the ability to maintain their role as the content expert. So if you want to learn it, I'm here to support you doing it. And I'd argue that Spark is a pretty easy place to get started. Cool. Sound good? Sweet. So real quick, we talked about some assembly pieces before, but I just want to start a new project just to show you how easy it is to start building in our first elements. So Spark page here. Go back to our main page, and then we're going to go to this plus button, create a web page. And then all of these Spark pages start off blank. And it literally walks you through exactly what to do. Add a title. Let's call this, what do we want to call this? Give me something. That's okay, I got something. Cats are the best. This is not my opinion, it is what is in my head currently. All right, sweet. So dog people, don't be offended. It's gonna be okay. All right, so you can add a title and a subtitle right here. And then add a photo. Find photos. Cats, not carts. Cats and carts. So let's see if we can find an adorable picture of a cat real quick. There we go. Love it. Cool. So you saw I hit a plus button and I added content. That's basically what we're going to do for all of this stuff. One of the unique things about Spark Page, though, is that it is a website. So it is built for desktop and mobile. So when you're using an image as a background, we want to kind of think about how that image is being manipulated in both of those arenas. So once an image is placed, I click on it again, and just like in the other Spark applications, I get options here. Focal point is the one I want to look at right now. So focal point is not only going to allow you to maybe show a different part of the image on this landscape view, but it also is going to show you what it looks like on the phone up here. The idea is with any of these types of things that we're working with, we're telling stories here. We have the ability to control how that story is told with images on our backgrounds here by adjusting this focal point. Because sometimes you may find an image looks really good, but we're over here on that portrait view. That doesn't make any sense for somebody who's looking at it on their phone. And if you're texting this to someone for them to check it out, or they're checking their email on their phone, they're going to click that link, right? So we want to make sure that it makes sense for them. So boom, boom, makes sense in both places, done. So,
Could you do that again?
so once the image is placed, I click on it, and then I get options down at the bottom, focal point. And then this little dot right here lets me move it around. Cool. Awesome, making sense? And that's about where I want it. Cool. So I'm going to scroll down here, and then we can add text. And then once we see here, let's see, cats. Cool. And I'll jump over to my other project that has more content in it, but I just want to show you how to add a few elements, and we'll kind of dig a little bit deeper. So we have header 1, header 2. Header 1's really big. Header 2 smaller than that. Quote's kind of a dynamic piece of text that you can come in that animates in usually. See, that kind of slides in, kind of blooms up. And then we have numbered and bulleted lists, all that type of stuff. Anything that's in, if we deselect, that gives you standard text. Any standard text can be highlighted, made bold, italicized, or put a hyperlink into. And then when you hit return, basically creates a new line. Cool. All right. And then you can align left, center, right. So basic word processing, like text editor type functionality. Cool. All right. So, and like I said, we'll jump into a project that has more, but I want to show you one other kind of bit here. And that's adding video. You may have video that you want to embed inside of your content. And if you bring in a YouTube video or a Vimeo video or a video that you made in Spark, they embed natively, which means that when you click on it, it's going to play in that same window. It doesn't open a new tab. You hit X, you're right back in your presentation, or you're right back in your Spark page. So you can copy and paste literally any URL from YouTube, Vimeo, or Spark Video, and it will find that video and embed it there for you.
Could you do loops?
Could you do loops? So not at this point. Okay. Could you loop a video? No. But it's going to stay there, and then you can always hit replay. Okay. But if it's a song that you want or something like that, 10-hour loop of X. You want like Nyan Cat or whatever for 10 hours? It's all you. But super easy to do and super simple. It's going to kind of embed it right there, and I'll show you guys an example of what that looks like in a second. Cool. Making sense so far, though? So the construction is really easy, and then once you do a little bit of work with it, it starts to look a bit more like this. And here I have all of my different content, right? Different stuff is selected, bold, italicized, underlined, all that stuff. This is actually kind of interesting. So this is an image. I just hit the plus button, add photo. And then we have all these different options for how this behaves. So an inline photo is going to look like this, and it has our little caption at the bottom. Our fill screen is going to fill the screen. My favorite way to use photos, though, is this window right here. With the window, basically that's going to make it so that it kind of behaves like a transition in the piece there. So I can kind of scroll through. It's really slender and really slim. Let's go through here. The other thing I want to take a look at when I do that is I do want to look at focal point. Whenever I'm using any photo as a background for any reason, I want to use that focal point to make sure that it makes sense both in what I'm doing here and then on mobile. So maybe that's more the picture that I want for that on the portrait view. Hit save, scroll through. Cool. Making sense so far? Cool. And then, and honestly, like I said, with this type of stuff, I just copied and pasted the text in. You could totally type it live. I tend to, if I know that I'm going to be writing something that's kind of long form, I just prefer working in a text document. But you see right here that these are bulleted. To make these bulleted, all I had to do is bring in that text and then hit the bullet button. If I undo it, it makes it not a bullet. It's a bullet again. Super easy. Question?
Is it pretty, and you're doing it in Word and copying and pasting, and it doesn't like the format doesn't.
Yeah. So with Spark, so Spark Post is a pretty has a very limited text editing capability, kind of on purpose. It's built to be kind of plug and play, like push button. And if you had a bunch of different options, you would kind of lose stuff. So you would lose some content. So as far as formatting goes, it's going to basically bring in the content, and you format it on the page. It's pretty easy to do. So if you had like just a big paragraph full of stuff and you wanted it center aligned, you just hit that align center, align left, align right. Make sense? Yeah, so like I said, I just prefer Word just for organization, and then I bring stuff in. Because you should just, because like I said, this is kind of like a finishing stage as far as kind of how I look at it. So the way that I prefer to work is kind of build it in, but I know plenty of people who love just kind of like typing there and kind of seeing it like grow as they work. But typically when I have a Spark page, it's like for an event or a presentation where I've already kind of done some planning. But if I were just kind of like spitballing, or like I was using this as a creative journal, what have you, I would probably just write right inside of here. So, cool. And then,
How long does this live? Like, will the link ever expire, or is it there forever?
the link persists as long as the account exists.
Okay.
So as long as you have an account tied to that, this link is going to exist in perpetuity.
Okay.
And Spark is free, so even beyond like having to pay for it or things like that. Great question. And then the last thing I want to talk about are these buttons right here. And I encourage you to explore all this type of stuff. But the last thing I want to talk about are these buttons. So button right here, to add a button, you hit the plus and then add button. And then type in the text for the button. I've typed in 2 or 3 sentences, and it basically just extends out the button if you want a really long one. And then you copy and paste the URL, align left, right, and center, done. Cool. I have some buttons right here. These buttons link to our Facebook, link to the Creative Jam Facebook, where they have these videos that you can kind of rewatch. So if you want to recap the event, you can watch it there yourself. And it's really easy to adjust them. So if I wanted, this one's in the center, if I wanted to the right, hit save, done. Wanted to change the text, edit. Say that I wanted this to say live instead of the capital. Save, easy. Let me go back in and change that because this is a live web page that people are looking at. So let me go ahead and get that back onto the brand that we decided. Boom, 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 boom. Cool. Awesome. And then these photo galleries are really easy to add. We just hit the plus button. Everything is a plus button. And then this photo grid here. Then you pick your grid, pick the order, and you're good to go. So on this particular grid up here, all of these are kind of uniform, but if I had a picture that I wanted to be a hero image, real easy to do. So I go in, edit grid, select the photo that I want, large photo. Save. And now all of these kind of adjust to make room for that hero image that I wanted. That could be really nice to kind of focus the eye and things like that as well. And then, there we go. And then we just share, publish link, update link if we wanted to. Cool. Making sense? Sweet. What questions do we have about Spark Page before we move on? Does it feel like it's easy to do? Cool. I saved all of this kind of goes to say you're going to use all this stuff when you make video. I always do video last because there's literally a 1-minute tutorial that says everything way faster than I can. So I'm just going to show it to you. All right. Sweet. So if we go to add a project here, we can go to video. Okay. So we literally just say, what do we want this video to be called? So we're going to call this video Spark Demo, or whatever it is you want. And then it gives you these kind of storyboarded panes to help you try and tell your story. And basically these are just going to kind of be like pre-built slides that give you a suggestion as to what to do to get started. So if somebody doesn't know where to get started, this is a great way to kind of get. So if I wanted them to promote an idea or tell what happened, that's storytelling, right? Saying what happened here. So we'll pick this one. So what it's going to do, so I'm going to load up this page here. And I'm going to challenge you to take a look at the tutorial that's on there. It's a 1-minute thing. I'm going to skip past it for the sake of time. Once it loads, there's this great 1-minute and 7-second video that shows up every time that you launch Spark Video that walks you through exactly how it behaves. But hit the plus button, add the content is kind of the idea. So we're going to go ahead and skip that for now. Give you guys a little bit of homework. And then at the bottom here, when we pick that who, where, when, this happened, then this happened, then this happened, how it ended, and then what we learned. So you have kind of a framework built in that you can base this off of. And I talked about this being slide-based video editing. So literally I'll come through here, I'll add my content, hit the plus button, I can add video, which will upload it directly to Spark Video. Text, photos, whatever you want. Video is built to be a maximum of 30 seconds. We are editing video, not just stringing it together. So you have to kind of pick the piece that you want to edit there. We can add text, photos, that type of stuff. And I'll pull up one that I've already kind of worked on already here in a minute. But if I wanted to take, actually, let's go ahead and do that now. Let me come back, show all, video. These are little modules that I made for the fast track course that I have worked on in the past. Give that a second to load. And kind of the cool thing about Spark is that if you wanted them to record voice, it's really easy to record voiceover. There's a microphone button, you hold it down, start talking, let go when you're done, walkie-talkie style. Super simple. So this is my Spark video here. I'll render out a little preview. And then there's audio usually, but we're kind of connected to this monitor, so we may not have it. Basically, I'm the support specialist. We have we added an icons where we talked about deep diving software, and we talk about Photoshop, and then we talk about Premiere, and then we talk about InDesign and what they'll be doing that week. Start thinking about your employer projects, so you have module 2, and all this kind of stuff that's kind of built in there. So really easy to do. Voiceover button's right there. The duration sits right here. You can record voiceover. I've gone upwards of a minute, but it'll say, hey, this is a slide, and people have been staring at this for a minute. Are you sure that's what you want? So it tries to kind of direct you. And you'll kind of be doing it a voiceover per slide. So if you wanted to transition from one slide to the next slide, you say your bit about the first slide, add the next slide, then do the voiceover there. So in that way, it's very, very much like slide-based. We're working on slides. So if I had this slide right here and I wanted to move it over, real easy to do. Click, drag, drop, done. Cool.
Where are your slides?
Oh, they're sitting along the bottom here.
But I mean, sorry, where were the slides actually created? And can you bring in like PowerPoint?
So you can't bring in PowerPoint slides. You'll make them all here. That's a great question. So if I wanted to make a new section of this video, I would click the plus button, then add my content. So if I wanted an icon here, there's like metal. It's like, yeah, you did it, you're done. So we add this first place trophy bit, and then we will record our voiceover right here by clicking on it and saying, congratulations, you finished the course. Go here to claim your Credly certificate or what have you. And then move that in the order that I want it. Yeah, and then if I wanted to manipulate this slide, if I wanted this split screen, so the metal's on one side and then my content's on the other. Congrats. Learn how to type. There we go. Very important. Cool.
And this can be embedded also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so when you're done here, the question was going to be embedded. We hit share. And then we are rendering out a video here. So we'll pick a category that we want to save it in. We'll create the link. And then basically it's going to render out that video, and then we'll have all of our embed options. So if we want, so this is housed on Spark automatically, but if I wanted to upload it to YouTube or what have you, there is a download button that sits right there.
Embed this into, like you said, to the Spark page.
Absolutely, yeah. But I tend to upload to YouTube just because that's I'm forward facing and I have a YouTube channel for the university and what we do with Adobe Creative Cloud. So I'll download it and then upload it wherever it is I want it to be. Cool. So how are we feeling about Spark overall? Does it feel daunting? Accomplishable?
I have another question.
Yes.
Is there a way to share logins, like if it was a group-based
That's a
project?
great question. Is there a way to share logins if it's a group-based project? At this point, there is not.
Okay.
It is definitely at the top of the wanted list by most institutions that take advantage of this, because it'd be nice if everything was kind of Google Doc style, everybody can kind of jump in and work. At this point, it's not. If you're doing, the most success I've found in group projects with this type of stuff is have them walk through, produce, like if you're doing video or a Spark page or what have you, have them walk through the process of like building it together, like Google Doc to kind of build all the content that's going to be in the Spark post, and then have them bring in the pictures and decide what the order is going to be and what they want to see and what they want to do, and then have them come together and assemble it, and have them kind of assemble it and then kind of go through it as a unit and then either present on it or do something like that. Or if it's a video and we're doing it that way, the exact same process. Have them walk through kind of gathering all the footage, choosing the order that they want, picking who's going to do voiceovers when, and then bring them to, and then have them get together and kind of finish it out at this point. I hope that we get that functionality soon, but at this point, it's what we're working with. So it's still pretty cool, and can do a whole lot. And the barrier of entry is super low, which I like a whole lot. Cool, makes sense?
And I guess going back to the group, the video is you're recording per slide. You could
Yeah.
have group members do their own slides and then one person could assemble it all
Yeah,
together?
so that's a great question. So if we had multiple video, if we were doing a video type presentation and we wanted somebody to do a 30-second bit on this and 30-second bit on this, they could all create their own Spark videos on their own profiles, then export that out as a video and then bring it into like a final slide, final like Spark video presentation that one of them manages. So you could totally do that if that's what you wanted. That might be really great for like an online environment, which makes sense. But yeah, so you could totally do that.
Another question.
Another question?
So really I was interested in this more so for like student projects.
Hmm?
As you're talking about it, I can see ways of having content delivery via these mechanisms. Have you found that one is more popular than the other? Like, are there faculty who use this for content delivery?
Sure.
Or
So,
more so for student
so
projects?
do faculty use this for content delivery as kind of on top of students using it? Absolutely. I use it pretty regularly. Spark Post is pretty well, Spark Page is pretty well found in a lot of presentations here at the university for a couple of reasons. The two reasons I go to, one, I don't need to worry about what their hardware is. If they have a modern web browser, I'm gold. Second, I tend to use a lot of video in my presentations. So that ability to embed something from YouTube that I've uploaded and know that it's not going to shift pages and I don't have to like click anything or change anything. I could literally do a presentation just by scrolling a mouse. So I could have this in my, or like a magic trackpad or what have you, and kind of deal with it there. So yes, it's absolutely used. Presentations in Spark Page I see a whole lot. That's probably the most prominent thing. But I've seen Spark Video used to great effect, but there's definitely a whole lot more traction under that Spark Page bit as far as presentations go. And it's kind of pretty. And everything's in one spot, so yeah. And as opposed to like having a clicker and like having to go back and forth between slides, you just have the ability to scroll, and super easy to kind of work with. And they've even added a present mode, so you don't. So if you want to just build a presentation, you don't want to publish it, you could log into your presentation there, hit present, and it just shows up. So if this is all like proprietary, or you were showing this to somebody and you don't want it out in the wild, you could just build it here and then present and never publish it out. Cool. That making sense?
Yeah, and I guess on top of that, if
Yeah.
we're, how do we, I'm just trying to think how we would connect it to D2L.
How are we connect?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So how we connect this to D2L. So what we would do is once we have it done, we're going to go and publish the website, publish and share. You'll pick a category and all that type of stuff like we just did in the video. And then you'll grab this embed link. If you want it to sit right inside of there, like as kind of a module that you can click and then opens up even inside of that little window, you would embed it. If you just wanted them to be able to click and, hey, check out this website, copy the shareable link and then paste it out. Yep. Cool. Making sense? Sweet. Well, I do want to be respectful of your time. I will be around for questions afterward, but if it's okay, I'd like to kind of wrap this bit up. So I want to thank you both for being here and being a part of this workshop. Hopefully you've learned a lot and it helps out. Does this feel like something that's going to be easy to do?
Absolutely.
Sweet. I hope you guys enjoy it. My email, real quick, bpuente@email.arizona.edu. I am constantly looking for people who are doing really cool things with any of this Adobe Creative Cloud stuff. So if you're comfortable sharing it, let me know kind of what you got going on. If you run into questions or something's not working, this is literally my job all day. So reach out. We can set up Zoom meetings, whatever you want. I can come to you. We can kind of talk about it and kind of work through the process with you. I'm here to support you with anything Adobe Creative Cloud. That being said, thank you again so much for coming. My name is Brian Puente, and I hope that you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Aw, aw, thanks.